This is going to be the first episode of the build series for the 06 F4i. We're going to start with the quick fuel disconnect, the tip sensor bypass, and the idle adjuster. In the first build series, I talked about two different ways you could do it. You could do it up by the headlight if you're running full fairings, or you can do it back here on the relay, tap in there. Does the same thing, but what I thought this time, instead of cutting into the harness at all, we're just going to use a jumper wire going from your green and then your red and white. So I just have that in there. I'm going to put some hot glue on each side just to kind of hold it in place, and then wrap this whole thing up with electrical tape. But this way I keep the harness nice and fresh, and it should be secure enough that it's not going to pop out. The only reason I kind of thought of this was because I had to start the bike with all the fairings off and the headlight, and I just needed a quick way to bypass the tip sensor. So I just threw a paper clip in, and I was like, alright, well, I'll just jump this. And all you really need is a pack of jumper wires. So if you ever worked with a breadboard before, you can get these on Amazon super cheap, and then you just stick it in there. We'll hot glue it, and then we'll wrap it up with tape, and that way you don't have to cut into the harness at all. It's a quick solution for the tip sensor bypass. We also brought the old tank back because I think I'm just going to put this red tank on here and then save this nice minty stock blue tank for the time being. Ooh, but my body's in touch. I was taking this tank off here. I don't think there's a lot of gas in the tank in the first place, so with it tilted back like that, I wasn't too worried about gas coming out of the lines. Fuel supply line's pretty easy to take off. It's just kind of like a banjo bolt onto the fuel rail. Fuel supply line's a little different. It's more of a snug fit with a hose clamp. This one was able to come off a little bit easier. I could just kind of pry it up off the barb and then wiggle it out the rest of the way. On the 01, I was never able to get that hose off without it starting to rip. That's why when I installed the fuel disconnects in that one, I just cut it where it was and popped those on, so I didn't even have to worry about taking off the FPR. But if you got a lot of gas in the tank, probably best to siphon it first, get as much of it out. Otherwise, trying to take the tank off and get the lines off with a full tank is just going to become a big mess. We got the quick fuel disconnects here from the thesicshop. This time when I bought them, they're both white connectors. They're labeled supply and return line, obviously. The diameters are a little different. The return's a little skinnier, supply's a little bit thicker. On the original one that I installed in the red tank, the supply line was black and then the return line was white. I don't know why they changed it, but what I'm also going to do is switch the fuel pumps. So I'm going to put this newer pump into the red tank, put the red tank's pump into this guy, and then we're going to put a new post-fuel filter on this one. So this entire fuel pump should be fresh, brand new, going into that tank, which is going to go onto this bike. Got the quick fuel disconnects on, just took a razor blade, chopped it. Got them on here, and you really don't need hose clamps because once you get these on, it doesn't matter how hard you pull. I cannot get this hose off of these barbs, so you don't have to worry about hose clamps there. Same thing on this side. So for the post fuel filter, this is your fuel pump. Basically, all you got to do is take that screw out there to undo that clamp, and then undo that hose clamp on the bottom, and then undo that hose clamp on the top, and then the post fuel filter will just pull out, and then do the reverse to reinstall it, and you're good to go. The best way to install the post-fuel filters is to just try and get both hoses on simultaneously, get them started, and then just kind of work them on farther and farther until clamp can close the way it should. Try and do one at a time. You're just going to have a hard time trying to get the other on. You don't have enough hose to play around with that, so get them both on at the same time and then tighten everything down. Boom. The 01 tank has the 06 pump with a new gasket, a new post-fuel filter, new crush washers on both ends, the quick fuel disconnect we installed. I didn't really get a chance to film this because I was trying to drain most of the gas into the tank, and then every time I flip the tank, all the gas always blows out of the overflow or the air vent if I have too much in there, so I tried to drain as much as possible. It was just getting real messy. You could see all the gas that spilled there, so I didn't really film there, but I just installed the new pump into this tank, and we're just going to put the idle adjuster on. thesicshop has a new version, which I'll explain a little more in a second. Basically, I was going to do it when I dropped the motor, but supposedly their new version should make it easier to install, so I'm going to try and get it in right now. And the only reason I want to do that is because I want to check and make sure that this bike idles steady, just to have a good baseline. So I'll raise the idle 3,000 or 4,000 and then see if it sits there, just so I have something to look back on. This is their version 2 of the idle adjuster. I believe on their website they said the end, the threaded portion's a little shorter, and the whole cable is more flexible to make it easier to install, because it's going in right here. You just take that little thumb screw out. It's easier just to pull the throttle bodies off. I kind of started to strip the threads in here. That's why I kind of took the throttle bodies off, was to get a better angle, because I think I was just chipping away at metal. And if you're curious, it's an M5.8. I ended up just cleaning up the threads on this guy and then running a tap through there. Make sure you cover off your motor there. Honestly, I don't think this idle adjuster is working the right way. The one that I currently have in the 01, the knob spins and it'll twist the cable. I can't get this thing to spin. The only way it spins is if the whole cable spins, and that doesn't really keep it locked in place, because if you go half turn or something, it'll just kind of go wherever it falls. So yesterday when I was doing the idle adjuster, I was kind of talking about how I thought this new version from thesicshop didn't work the right way. I just kind of assumed that the knob was supposed to twist. That's how I thought it was on my 01. So I kind of thought that maybe it wasn't working right, but I fired this thing up today. it spins freely like the way it would on the 01. If you watch the cable, watch the logo, whole thing spins, right? It's a lot more faded on this guy, but same thing. You know, the whole cable spins. I thought it was just this part of the knob that spun because I was having such a tough time threading it in. It looks like the whole cable spins anyway. So there's really nothing left for me to do. I was gonna tear that whole thing down and use the old one, but this one should do fine. I just wanted to clarify that. It's way easier doing it that way than trying to fight it and get it in with the throttle body still on at that awkward angle. You gotta tape the spring and the washer on and everything. Just pop them off real quick, thread it in, you'll be good to go. I went and grabbed some old parts off the other bike. Got the scrape plate, shark fin, subcage adapters, heel guards, rear sets, and then the levers. I also have both seats. This is the one that was on the 06. That's supposedly another banana seat, but the one that I had built always had a gap between the front of the seat and the tank here. And I thought maybe the tanks could be different, but I fit both seats onto both bikes with both tanks, and just so happens that this seat, I don't know, has a gap. It's almost like when I compared them side by side, if the front of the seat was like shaved back a little bit, whereas the left side, that stock seat's a little longer. And really the only difference is there's just a gap between the front of the seat and the tank, so it's more of a cosmetic thing, to be honest. It's not a huge worry. I'll probably just still reuse this seat and also save the stock seat for now. I can always get that one built up if I want it.
Hottest stash in the carpet. Yeah, we trapping out at party.